With a thriving population of 1.4 billion people, India is not short of highly skilled people. The rich history of this country shows us how once it had great empires with stable economies. Many believe that the current economy of India will not just equal the economy of China, it will blow past them, taking over China's spot in the global hierarchy. This would flip the world's economy. But is it possible? About 20 years ago, Goldman Sachs economists coined the term BRIC, which stands for Brazil, Russia, India, and China. It was later reworded to BRICS after the inclusion of South Africa. These countries were believed to become the most dominant suppliers, manufactured goods, services, and raw materials by 2050. Brazil and Russia were expected to become the powerhouses of raw materials, whereas China would rule the global market. But India seems to be putting up a challenge for China. Major changes can be expected in the upcoming decade. India is the most populous country in the world and is dubbed the land of diversity. India is known for its huge movie industry, Bollywood, the spirit of cricket, also referred to as the second religion, and the fact that it is the birthplace of yoga. Several travelers visit India to witness the amazing Taj Mahal, one of the 7 wonders of the world, located in Agra. India has some of the most amazing mountain ranges, including the Himalayas, beautiful palaces, and a rich culture of food and spices. Moreover, the country gave the world the most famous diamonds that have ever existed in human history, such as the Koh-i-noor and the Blue Hope. India gets all the credit for developing the game of chess, which comes from an ancient Indian game called chaturanga. The world already knows these things about India. What we should be talking about is how fast their economy is growing. On November 8, 2022, Stanley Morgan published a paper declaring that India is on track to become the 3rd largest economy by the year 2027. India will have the strongest stock market, which could grow at a rate of 11% over the next decade until it reaches a $10 trillion market cap. The paper also stated that the GDP of India could increase from $3.5 trillion in 2022 to over $7.5 trillion by 2031. That means that the GDP would double within 10 years. Now that is a big deal. Here's what Morgan Stanley's paper suggests. The Indian stock market could outperform the stock market of the United States in the next decade. That is a hefty claim for a world that is on the brink of a recession. This can also be a huge investment opportunity for businesses all over the world. Morgan Stanley and S&P Global said that India will be one of the 3 economies in the world that can generate more than $400 billion in annual economic output growth from 2023 onwards. And it is said that this will only increase to more than $500 billion after 2028. This claim reflects an 11% growth in the GDP. So what does that mean for India? To get a better picture of the growth rate, let's compare this with the GDP of the United States, which was estimated to grow by 2% in 2022. If the global recession occurs in 2023, economists believe that the GDP will only grow by 0.2%. On the other hand, China is considered a giant when it comes to GDP growth, but in 2022, they were only able to grow by 3%, which is not a lot. Here's where India comes in. Breaking all records, India is expected to increase by as much as 6% in 2023 to 2024. Currently, the world is facing an economic slowdown. We are even expected to go into an economic crisis. People will lose their jobs and they won't be able to earn as much, which affects the income of companies, thus affecting economic growth. And this only means bad news for the stock market.
आज भारत ग्लोबल रिटेल इंडेक्स में दूसरे पायदान पर खड़ा है। भारत दुनिया का तीसरा सबसे बड़ा एनर्जी कंज्यूमर देश है।
The real question is, why is the Indian economy improving so well while the rest of the world is going through a rough patch? It all comes down to 3 main reasons: global offshoring, financial transformation, and energy transition. Let's take a look at these in detail. Global offshoring is the method of outsourcing the production needs of a country. This is done to reduce the cost of doing business. As we all know, India is famous for its role in software development and customer service. India's youth play an important role in the development of the software industry, and the country has produced talented engineers and businessmen who work in renowned companies all over the world. The CEOs of Google and Microsoft would be the most relevant examples for this, for they are both Indians. You might have heard the names Sundar Pichai and Satya Nadella. Moreover, India was the second biggest market for freelance hires by Upwork in 2020, which is 12.6% of the market share. The number of freelancers is estimated to double to more than 11 million people, as the budget for outsourcing is going to increase from $180 billion as of today to over $500 billion a year by 2030. India is not just about software development and freelancers. The manufacturing industry in India is also a key contributor to the country's GDP growth. Take a look at this graph to understand it even more. The country is building factories from the ground up, which is why manufacturing in India is expected to increase its GDP by 21% by the year 2031. The second reason India is going to blow past China economically is because of digital transformation. In 2009, India released a program called Aadhaar, which is a unique identification system that uses biometric authentication. This system enables its citizens to pay taxes and access their social security, banking, insurance, and even shopping with just a retinal scan, facial ID scan, and fingerprint scan. Over the years, Aadhaar has revolutionized the entire infrastructure of India and is now a part of the stack that gives people access to finance. It allows businesses to apply for credit and loans more efficiently than ever before. The program was a bit of a controversy when it first came out, but according to a report from 2018, it seems to be doing great, as the general public seems to be genuinely impressed by it. The people realized how effective it was when they could easily access simple things like food and groceries. Filing reports against scammers or fraud also became easier through the Aadhaar program. Over time, this system built better businesses and worked well in India. Such a system may not work in other countries, like the U.S., due to privacy and data collection reasons. India, the second largest country in population, needed to be digitized. It was effectively done through the Aadhaar program. India is bringing a lot of innovative solutions to enhance its economic growth. There's also a prediction that households making $35,000 a year in income will go up from 5.6 million households to over 25 million households by the year 2031. Everyone knows that more income means more expenditure, and in theory, this will help the Indian stock market rise exponentially. The third major reason why India will be an economic hub in the next decade is because of energy transformation. By 2022, around two-thirds of India's energy consumption will come from renewable energy sources. As the world transitions from fossil fuels to renewable sources, India will have massive investment opportunities and innovations in this field that will boost its economy in the upcoming decade. Coming back to the initial conversation, India is expected to rival China, and the Chinese government is determined to stop India at all costs. China is taking control of the coastal ports across the Indian Ocean. With the development of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor and China's Belt and Road Initiative, China will effectively form a trade circle around India, affecting India's power, trade, and freedom. To counter this, India is expanding its naval bases to key locations around the globe and improving its foreign policy. They are also developing relationships with strategic countries such as Mongolia, which is located to the north of China. This will enable India to effectively counter China's actions. It will put them in an incredibly defensive position. India has gained control over the Malacca Strait, which would limit China's trade across the Indian Ocean into Africa. Moreover, China is already suffering a near loss in the semiconductor war against the United States. So if it comes down to India versus China, India's track record proves that it will triumph over China putting India on top. What are your thoughts on this? I would love to hear them in the comments section. If you have reached this far and like this video, subscribe to our channel. Click the bell icon to never miss an update. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again in the next video.